Jace Collin wasn't just famous. He was internet bulletproof. At 29, he'd survived 2 weeks in the Alaskan interior with no food, climbed a glacier in wet sneakers, and filmed himself pulling leeches off his eyeballs in Cambodia. Over 1 million subscribers tuned in every week to watch him almost die and then make it look like a joke. But lately, the comments had changed. You used to be real. Now it's all edits and fake screams. Try something with actual risk. Bet you wouldn't last 3 days in Honeywell Swamp. No food, no tent, just your ego and a GoPro. Jace didn't even hesitate. That last one, from an untraceable burner account, felt like a challenge crafted just for him. He clicked like. 2 days later, he was on a flight to Baton Rouge with a camera, a belt knife, a solar charger, and enough arrogance to sink a fishing boat. Honeywell wasn't on any official maps, just a green smear near the edge of a dead county line. Locals called it the bathtub, as in, get in, never come out. No trails, no permits, just mud, water, and stories older than the state. At the last gas station before the tree line, Jace bought a jug of water and a pack of jerky. The man behind the counter stared at him like he was walking into a burning building. "You got family?" the man asked. Jace smirked. "Why? You want to call them?" "You don't walk into Honeywell for fun," the man replied, slowly bagging the jerky. "That place doesn't just kill, it keeps." Jace filmed him from the waist up, muttering, "Swamp Wizard curses my GoPro. 10 million views inbound." He uploaded it on the spot, laughing, and stepped into the trees. The signal vanished 2 steps later. Within an hour, everything he knew about terrain navigation stopped making sense. His compass spun like a roulette wheel. The drone refused to calibrate. The shadows beneath the trees grew longer, even though it was barely noon. The air had a strange thickness to it. Not just humidity, but weight. Jace spoke to the camera often, narrating like he always did. "Hour 1, bugs already eating my ears. Pretty sure I saw a cottonmouth smoking a cigarette. This place is insane." But by hour 5, the jokes were fewer. The trails turned to water. What little land he found was soft and sponge-like, sinking beneath him with every step. He was soaked up to the knees and covered in biting flies. He pressed on, using the sun's arc, what he could see of it, to keep track of direction. The sky, a molten white haze, gave no comfort. It reflected off the black pools like mirror glass. Around 4 p.m., he stopped for a break, pulled his boots off. Leeches wriggled on his calves like small fingers. The camera caught his forced laugh. "Leeches! Perfect! Welcome to the spa." He chewed a piece of jerky, swigged stale water, rechecked his position. No signal, no stars, just trees. Always more trees. That night, he tied his hammock between 2 cypress trees above a patch of mud. The mosquitoes were so thick they sounded like static. He wore a head net, but it did little. In his final log for the day, he looked into the camera with sweat running down his face. Still alive, still sexy, still regretting everything. He paused. Then he whispered something quieter. "Something's off." He didn't elaborate, because just then, all the noise stopped. No frogs, no wind, no rustle of leaves. Just breathe. Not his. Something else. Watching, waiting. He awoke before dawn. The sky wasn't yet pink. The air felt hollow. He spoke into the camera, his voice thin and frayed. "Day 2. Swamp still sucks. Still haven't seen anything bigger than a frog." That was when the water erupted. A gator, huge, dark as oil, surged from the black pond to his right. No warning, no sound. One moment, stillness. The next, chaos. Its jaws clamped around his left arm just above the elbow. He didn't scream at first. The pain was too much. He just stared in disbelief as the beast twisted, wrenching his body sideways. Then came the screaming. Raw, full-throated. Not for the camera. He stabbed wildly with his belt knife, once, twice again, until the gator's eye gave with a wet pop. It let go. He tumbled into the mud, gasping, staring at what was left of his arm. Gone. Everything below the elbow was gone. The camera caught it all, tilted on the hammock, still recording. He pulled off his shirt, wrapped it around the stump, cinched it with his belt. The pressure made him see stars. "I'm not dying here," he whispered, teeth chattering. Blood soaked through instantly. He crawled backward, away from the water. His breath came in ragged gasps. Every shadow looked like another gator, but nothing followed. Nothing needed to. The swamp had already taken what it came for. The next 12 hours were blur and agony. He couldn't walk. He could barely crawl. But he moved, inch by inch. His vision blurred. His head pulsed. The heat was unbearable. He licked dew off leaves, tried chewing grass. Everything tasted like copper and moss. He kept the camera strapped to his chest, still blinking, still watching. "Update," he muttered. "Lost. A lot of blood. Lost an arm. Got it on film. This better be worth 1,000,000 views." Then he laughed. Then he cried. The woods felt too quiet, but he wasn't alone. He knew that now. Somewhere behind him, something moved when he moved. It never came closer, but it never stopped following. At sunset, he found a half-dry log to lean against. That night, the temperature dropped. He curled into himself, shivering, eyes fluttering. That's when the whispers started. The dreams were vivid. He was back home, sitting in his kitchen. His mother was making soup. She turned around, smiling, but her eyes were gone. "Why'd you go in there, Jace?" she asked, her voice syrupy and slow. Then she screamed. Her skin bubbled like boiling wax. He awoke covered in insects, his breath shallow. His arm was worse, hot to the touch, oozing. The whispers grew louder with the sun. At first, they were his name. "Josh!" Then commands. "Stop moving! Lie down! Let go!" He didn't listen. He crawled toward nowhere. Midday, he saw her again, the woman in white. She was farther away this time, standing among trees, face obscured, hands at her side. She didn't speak. She didn't move. But she watched. He blinked. Gone. But her image burned behind his eyelids. Every time he closed them, she was there. He kept going, and the swamp kept watching. On the fourth night, Jace was near death. His skin blistered from sun exposure. The smell of his wound made him gag. His legs barely worked. His mind bounced between lucid horror and dreamlike haze. Then he saw it. Light. At first, he thought it was a hallucination. A warm yellow glow between the trees. But it flickered like fire. He crawled inch by inch, through thorns and bog, until the source revealed itself. A shack, half sunken. Tin roof, a lantern hanging from a crooked porch beam. Real. He collapsed on the front step, body twitching. The door creaked open. A man stood in the frame, silhouetted by lamplight. Gray beard, one eye, holding a shotgun. "Jesus," the man muttered. "You're real." Then everything went black. He awoke inside the shack on a cot. His arm was wrapped tightly. Clean bandages. The smell of antiseptic and old wood filled his lungs. The man introduced himself as Boone. "Been living out here 30-some years," he said. "Don't see many folks come back from that part of the swamp." He spoke little, mostly offering food and water. Rice, beans, flatbread. Jace devoured it all. On the second night, Jace asked the question, "I saw a woman." Boone stopped chewing. "White dress?" Jace nodded. "She doesn't speak, just watches, points sometimes." Boone leaned forward. "She don't belong to this world. Swamp doesn't kill everyone who walks in, but it doesn't let him leave unchanged either." Jace didn't ask for an explanation. He didn't want one. 3 days later, Boone walked Jace to the edge of the tree line and pointed down a dry path. "Walk till the birds come back," he said. "That's how you'll know you're out." "Why help me?" Jace asked. Boone scratched his chin. "Maybe she let you live. Maybe I'm just tired of watching this place eat people." Jace hobbled down the trail. After 3 miles, he heard birdsong. His phone buzzed. Signal returned. A weak bar. 2 hours later, a park ranger found him on a gravel road and drove him to a hospital. He lost his arm, but not his mind, not entirely. His footage, auto-uploaded from the GoPro as soon as it connected, exploded online. The gator attack went viral. But it wasn't the blood that broke the internet. It was the frame, halfway through day 3, where the woman in white could be seen, just barely, standing between 2 cypress trees, staring at him. People paused, zoomed, Debated. Ghost, cryptid, swamp guardian. Jace never gave interviews. He never posted again. 6 months passed. One morning before sunrise, Jace left his apartment with nothing but a lantern and a notebook. He returned to Honeywell. He didn't tell anyone. He followed the same trail, past the spot where he lost his arm, past the place where his screams had echoed through the reeds. He found the shack again, but it was empty. He sat on the steps, waited, and at dusk, she came. The woman in white, barefoot, soaked, her face finally visible. Not cruel, not kind, just watching. She raised one hand. This time she didn't point. She reached. Jace stood. He took her hand, and together they stepped back into the dark. 3 months later, hikers found a GoPro lying in a dry patch of moss. It was still recording. Its last image was static. But if you paused at the right frame, just before the camera fell sideways, you could see two shapes disappearing into the fog. One tall, one barefoot. Neither ever looked back.